Assassin's Creed. Say what you want about the newer Assassin's Creed games, there is one thing no one can deny. Then these games were phenomenal and special in their early years. They kind of created a whole genre. No other game did big open worlds with parkour in historic settings. Heck, most of the open world games were just copying GTA with the modern setting, stealing cars, and those that weren't based in modern times were in fantasy worlds. Having a game based in real-life historical events was genuinely a clever idea. The different time periods kept the series fresh year by year, and this setting provides Ubisoft an infinite amount of opportunities and settings for each game. One day I want to make a video why Origins is one of, if not my favorite Assassin's Creed game, but Odyssey, for me, it was just too bloated, boring, and over the top at the same time. But I don't think saying that the Xbox 360 PlayStation 3 era of Assassin's Creed was the golden era of the series. And as time goes forward, Assassin's Creed kinda lost its relevance. As AC grew, so did Ubisoft, and they started making first-person Assassin's Creed games and sci-fi Assassin's Creed games just with different names. The stealth-based open-world action games with RPG elements became a must in today's Ubisoft lineup. And what else than Assassin's Creed started this trend? And I think everybody has that one Assassin's Creed game that stands out for them as best of the best. For a lot of people, that Assassin's Creed game is Assassin's Creed 2. But for me, it was Assassin's Creed 1 that had a special place in my heart. So I thought, let's go back and see if that game still holds up to this day, or only my nostalgia tells me that it's a good game, like Assassin's Creed 2 does to its fans. And because I don't see a lot of people talk about Assassin's Creed 1 as much as they do for other games in the series. And also, I don't want Ubisoft to delete my account, so I had to play a game from them as soon as I could. So, like my favorite Assassin's Creed character once said, let's go! Woohoo! It's me, Mario! Come on and kill people! That was awful. So, in 2007, Assassin's Creed 1 released, and at this point, if you care even a little about the franchise, then you already know the story behind it, so I don't want to waste your time more than I already had. But just in case you don't know, Assassin's Creed 1 originally was supposed to be the next game / spin-off for the Prince of Persia series, where the focus would have been on the prince's bodyguard, but later it was reworked as the first episode of a series that single-handedly made hundreds of kids into parkour fans. I'm not joking, everywhere we went with my friends, we were looking for potential climbing places and we were running all over the place. We never climbed anything because we were too much of a pussies, but it was fun nonetheless. So, Assassin's Creed 1 was out, and believe it or not, the concept was new back then. I always loved the overall idea of Assassin's Creed, being able to go back to any time periods in human history while we fight a secret war for godly weapons and discovering long lost knowledges from human history is just so cool. To this day, I think this concept, while lost a bit of its charm, is still really cool. For me, Assassin's Creed was the game series that got me into the deeper depths of gaming, so this franchise really means surprisingly a lot to me. But you know what else means a lot to me? If you subscribe to the channel, because I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Also, just a quick disclaimer, if the video quality is a little weird, then I'm sorry in advance. OBS refused to capture the game when the game was in full screen, so I had to play it in windowed mode, which might not lead to the best quality. Sorry. Blame Ubisoft! I don't know what to do. They made the game, they made it to refuse to record. So the basic premise of Assassin's Creed in general is that there are two secret organizations, the Assassins and the Templars. And they both are fighting over the Pieces of Eden, which are super powerful artifacts from the civilization before ours. And in Assassin's Creed 1 you play as fucking hell. And in Assassin's Creed 1 you play as Altair ibn La-Ahad, a master assassin during the Third Holy Grail Crusade in the Holy Land in 1191. But there is just one big problem with Altair. That he is a big jerk. He doesn't care about the life of his comrades and he doesn't listen to anyone but himself. And that leads to the death of one of his comrades. And after the Templars invade Masyaf, the main base, capital of the Assassins, and Altair doesn't follow orders again, that's the final drop in the glass and he's ripped from every rank and equipment he has and has to start to regain his ranks. But how do you do that? How can you regain your lost ranks while learning discipline and humility? Did you forget? You are an assassin! And what does assassins do? Yes! They do gardening, of course. They kill. So you have to eliminate 9 targets in order to restore your honor and to bring justice to this world. But other than this, there is nothing really I can talk about, including the story. It's a pretty basic story with a lot of repetition and little or none actual character development. But it does the job right to somehow explain why you do nothing other than killing targets the whole game. It's not a complex story at all, even with the betrayal of Al-Mualim, your mentor. Because surprise, he was the bad guy all along! You really just go around killing 9 people who are really bad Templars. End of the first game, they didn't even went into the issue race or the people who lived before us. And we only get a glimpse of the Apple of Eden at the very end of the game. For the most part, Assassin's Creed 1 really tried to be down to earth, a historical game and not really putting any sci-fi into the historic setting line, other than the very end of it. See Odyssey? You should learn from your elders. So, the story of Altair is okay, but nothing outstanding. What about the modern storyline? For some reason, Ubisoft told that they needed to explain how you got back in time and why you are playing a history class, and they created the modern storyline. I think the further we get from the original modern story, the more uninteresting it gets. In Origins and Odyssey, I skipped them without a hitch, because they do not provide anything interesting to the story at all. But I think the story of Desmond is still really good and interesting. A bartender called Desmond Miles gets kidnapped by this organization called Abstergo, who are Templars actually, and he has to forcibly replay his ancestor Altair's memories, and the further he goes, the more he learns about Altair's abilities to the point where he becomes a master assassin himself. Which makes sense, because if you have to spend weeks reliving a memory of someone else, then of course you will learn a thing or two from them. And it's just so mysterious and cool, because neither the player nor Desmond knows what the hell is going on. So yeah, this modern storyline in general is a great idea to link the Assassin's Creed games together, so it won't just feel like we are just jumping from one time period to another without any explanation, but later they just had no idea what to do with it. But you are not here to listen to me talk about the modern world, because you can live in the modern world for free, including taxes. So just like after a few good drinks in the bar nostalgia, let's go back to the past and let's talk about how the game feels. Like I said, Assassin's Creed 1 was the conquistador of parkour in video games, and as time went on, the movement changed quite a lot in this game. It got smoother and easier to control. Some might say a little too easy. But Assassin's Creed 1? Nah mate, here you need a ledge to grab or a crack to pledge, because you can climb every surface without any problem. And you can even do this. It's a little clunky sometimes, but I was surprised how nuanced it can be. Running from rooftop to rooftop still has a really good feeling to this day. I completely forgot that in the earlier games you had to hold an extra button just to run, but it's not that bothering to just get used to it really quickly. I think up until Unity you needed to use R2 and the X button in order to sprint and do anything parkour related. I'm not sure about that, but I'm going with this. You can't stop me. You can't. Only in the comment section. So go down and comment if I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm not wrong in the comment section. But I don't know how I can stress enough that I was surprised how fun the parkour can be in this game, even with the choppy animations and how sometimes Altair just doesn't do what you want and just jump to his death like every person should. Please don't do it, that was a joke. Don't jump down from rooftops, that's not healthy. Please don't do that. And another big thing I realized by playing was that Assassin's Creed 1 is not a stealth game. You can't really hide anywhere you can strike from. And the hiding is mostly only important when you are being chased and you need to hide somewhere, because as I noticed, the game rubber bands the enemies to you most of the time, so you can't just outrun them. You need to hide somewhere. But you can only hide on benches or like in hay bales or this little closed thing on the roofs. I don't even know what they are and why they are there. But that's it. There are no crouching or hiding in tall grass or among people, or really other sort of sneaking around. There are no sleep darts either, and the eagle eye doesn't highlight enemies behind walls. which is fine, it's not a necessity, but it shows how much it wasn't important to see where the guards are. You cannot do assassinations from tables or benches either. I actually don't think Assassin's Creed was a real stealth game until Unity, which gave us the very basic ability to crouch. As much as that game was a mess when it came out, I kinda liked it. So long story short, Assassin's Creed 1 is not about being stealthy. It's more about target hunting and escaping than actually going from hiding spot to hiding spot without being spotted. There was a lot of sports in this sentence. But to run from rooftop to rooftop and do that said escaping, you need a city to do it in. I already mentioned Masiev, the base capital, I still really don't know, for the assassins, which I just learned at a real place in Syria. You learn something new every day. Or not. Yesterday I learned nothing, so why was I awake? But other than Masiev, you got Damascus, Jerusalem, and Acre. Acre? I think it's Acre. To explore. And this is a little bit of a bummer, but these cities are nothing special. Later Assassin's Creed games nailed the location perfectly, by choosing well-known and famous places to roam around in, but in the first game, while you have 3 cities that are decently sized, they look and feel mostly the same. Like on YouTube, where everyone who copies Mr. Beast just feels like him and looks like Mr. Beast. These cities are Mr. Beasts! The only instantly knowable difference in each city is the color palette they used. Jerusalem is green, Acre is greyish, and Damascus is bluish, I think. There are some notable landmarks, but for the most part, every city looks the same. And it's not only because of the copy-pasted buildings everywhere, because, to be fair, that didn't bother me. I just had the same problem I had in Cyberpunk 2077. Other than a few memorable locations, most of the time you don't know where you are in the city compared to other landscapes. There is a video on Ubisoft's YouTube channel where they go over how they created these cities and what went into it, and that's cool to see. But none of the locations are interesting in the game. Okay, so after 2 hours of searching, for the life of me I couldn't find that video I was talking about here. But here's another video about the making of Assassin's Creed 1. It's a really good video, I highly recommend it. It's really fun to watch and see the enthusiasm that they had during the making of this game. But I think Ubisoft, for some reason, deleted that video I was talking about, where they go over each city and how they made each city. Maybe Ubisoft deleted it, I don't know why would they do that, but if you know what I'm talking about, which video I'm talking about, and if you have the video or the link or source or anything, then please let me know. They have a little bit of personality, with one having a castle and the other one having a port and the third one having a church, but I couldn't tell you which one was in which city. But when you realize that this game was supposed to be a Prince of Persia game, which mostly takes place in Persia, and just generally in Arabic settings, that it makes sense why they placed the first game in this area too. But these Middle Eastern cities do not provide memorable locations. I'm sorry to anyone who lives there, but this is the truth. Assassin's Creed told me so. And for Orno, who lived his whole bloody life in bloody Paris and still doesn't know that what place is where, for Altair it makes sense to climb up to tall buildings to look around, which again became a staple in Assassin's Creed games, and Far Cry games, and kind of Watch Dogs games. But for these viewpoints too, there are not a lot of variations. Other than a few towers, most of them are just the same one copied and pasted and have the same climbing strategies. And if Ubisoft achieved anything with these games, even after the very first title, is the recognition that Assassin's Creed has. This thing right here became iconic in the gaming sphere. If you see a hay bale, you know that you can jump into it without any problem. Oh. So, each city has 3 targets, and before you can assassinate them, you need to gather information from the street. There are eavesdropping, pickpocketing, doing tasks for informers like killing archers and collecting flags, and beating up public speakers. Just like you do with the people on the bus who annoy you. And that's it. That's all you do for 14 hours. At least if you want to get every bit of information there is. Because to assassinate a target you only need 3 or 4 informations. But I did all of them because, shut up, I have nothing better to do, okay? And I was surprised that the informations you gather can actually help you eliminate the targets. They are not just useless tasks for you in order to unlock the opportunity to kill your target. They say where certain outposts or open windows and gates are, or if your target has the same outfit as the others. You can distinguish him because he has golden chains, because he's dumb and obviously the main guy has to stand out from the rest of it. So yeah, if you pay attention to the informations, it will be a lot easier to kill your targets. Other than this, you can have civilians harassed by soldiers, kill Templars, or collect flags? Why is flag collecting a recurring theme in this game? And killing Templars and collecting flags does nothing, and even my maximalist self did not care about it at all. It gives you nothing, no armor, no stats upgrades, nothing. Also, there is none of the things I just mentioned in this game. No armor, no weapons you can buy or upgrade, no skills or money you can spend like in later games, which leaves you only with the story to keep going for, which, to be honest, isn't that interesting to begin with. Okay, so over the years, AC went over a few different fighting systems. There was the Batman style with the blocking and immediate counterattack and killing, and the Dark Souls style rolling and evading with light and heavy attacks. Now, this game is neither of those. In this game, when you block, your enemy's sword slides down of yours, so you can't immediately counterattack when the time slows down, like in Black Flag for example. You can't really evade any attacks either, because the step you do is not enough for that. But if you hit the attack and the block button at the same time as the enemy hits you, you can kill them instantly with an epic animation. It's still about only pushing 2 buttons at a good time, but at least the timing here matters, not like in Assassin's Creed 3 or Black Flag, where you literally could kill a whole nation in like 5 minutes without thinking too much. And while in this game there are no variations in the enemies, so there are no heavy soldiers or enemies you have to kick and attack after that, you can still kill a smaller country if you try, but the keyword is that. Try. You have to pay attention to every enemy around you, because you have to know when to press the buttons so you can counterattack at the perfect time. You can't just spam the buttons randomly and see how the enemies die instantly. You have to pay attention. But your weapons are not that varied. You have 2 swords, a hidden blade, and throwing knife. The crossbow that was in the trailer got cut because of historical inaccuracy. Yeah, I don't think they follow this rule anymore. I mean, I don't know how I got to this conclusion, but yeah. But I really prefer this system over the Batman Assassin's Creed games' system. Again, I know I'm comparing this game to later ones, but even the characters are not that interesting. While I love Altair as an assassin, because he is not just a street kid who got dragged into this whole thing like Ezio or Arno, but he learned the art of killing from a very young age. But as a character, he's so bland that even if you put him in a blender, nothing would change. And he is not that clever either.
I sense you expected someone else.
What sorcery is this?
It's a woman, Altair. His mentor, Almualim too, is just your typical mentor who doesn't tell you anything so you can figure it out on your own, but at least he's kinda cool when he betrays you. He's like, all the people you killed wanted the power to control people, but me, I'm different. I want power and I'm going to control people. Wait, what? My whole idea was the same as the bad ones? Oh no, I dead. And even the targets you kill aren't that memorable. The locations that you fight them in are more memorable for me than the actual persons you have to kill. I know there was a guy in the port, one was rich, one was torturing people, and one was in a castle, and the other one was a woman I just showed you. But from the top of my head, they are the only ones I can remember. But why I needed to kill them? What did they do that they deserve this? I have no idea. There is one thing though I can praise this game. After you kill your target, you both get into this astral space where you can talk to them without anyone disturbing you. And there they can clarify their actions and tell their side of the story. I really like this to this day in every Assassin's Creed game. Assassins give the last closure to their opponents and not just kill them in cold blood. They make them rest in peace by closing their eyes and taking their blood. It's an amazing way to do this. And if we are already talking about amazing creative things, let me talk a little about the hidden blade. You cannot tell me this is not the most clever weapon idea you ever seen for a sneaky beaky assassin. Obviously, you don't want to carry big swords with you. What are you, stupid? But the hidden blade has one really important feature. That it's hidden. And that the concept alone is really cool and clever. I've never seen anything like this, like a non-existing weapon that could work in real life. It's so amazing and clever. Like, people made these things. It was a thing that like engineers did on YouTube and it worked. It's just so fucking cool. And for me, the ring finger sacrifice is a great quote-unquote payment for the order. But I guess it's easier to climb with 10 fingers than 9. I don't know, I'm not a Yakuza. But it's hidden and it's a blade. How much cooler and sneakier you want to get? And as we saw in later games, it could be used for pistols or grappling hooks or arrows, so the versatility is there. It's not just the blade itself, so every assassin can customize it for their own style. But I could fanboy about hidden blades all day, so let's move on to something else. One of the big charms of Assassin's Creed games are that you can meet historical figures like Charles Darwin, Cleopatra, or even Leonardo da Vinci. But due to the setting being placed in the Third Crusade, in the Middle East, there are not really a lot of people that you may know you can meet. And other than Richard the Lionheart, I can't recall any historical figure. It may just be because I'm dumb and I don't know anything about the Third Crusade and its history other than the fact that it happened. So I don't know who else could have been in the game, but I got to admit that Richard was a good choice to put in this because even I heard about him. And thus, let's talk about the music. That was a weird segue, but I'm sure Richard the Lionheart loved music. This is just the rest of the game is pretty okay. Like, there are a lot of ambience music, which is fine. It paints a little more spirit to the cities, but other than 2 or 3 examples, I don't think any song stuck with me after I finished the game. Other than the chase music, which is actually a banger. And this is definitely a nitpick, but I really miss the opening title screen because that was just so memorable part of every Assassin's Creed game. I mean, yeah, we have this, but it's not really the same as... God, AC4 was so good.
Come, Altair.
So, is Assassin's Creed 1 a good game? Yeah? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. Oh god, it's not perfect, but for a first entry in this giant gaming Godzilla that Assassin's Creed became, it laid down the ground for it perfectly. The parkour elements, the assassinations, the mystery behind it all, it's so amazing. And while the gameplay and the collectibles are the most mind-numbing things I've ever seen in a video game, and I could only play it for 1 hour at one time before getting bored, after a few hours I wanted to get back and kill one more crackety Templar. And the ending is probably my favorite in all of gaming. It cuts off right after the revelation that Desmond can see creepy writings on the wall that was left here by the last test subject. And it just ends! It's so ballsy for the first game, and I can't help but respect it. They were like, we are going to make a second game, and you will buy it. I know this game is going to be a success. And it was. And people bought it. So Assassin's Creed became a giant. And now Assassin's Creed is facing a really crucial change in its life. With like 7 different games in the making containing VR games, mobile games, big games, small games, a hub of some sort. I still don't get why they need that, but sure, why not? But I just feel all of this will not be for me. Like I said, AC means a lot to me because it was the very first gaming franchise I genuinely loved and cared about, and I just don't want to let it go and see it fail again. I want Mirage to succeed because it genuinely feels like a good game, even with the stupid power-ups, but Codename Jade? I don't get why they just wasted the Chinese setting on a fucking mobile game. A mainline Chinese Assassin's Creed game would have done wonders with the series. But no, they just blasted this opportunity on a mobile game. So, stupid mobile game it is then. But this is a video game series, not paragliding, which means we can just go back and replay our favorite whenever we want to. And I will. As long as this giant rock floats in the space, I will play them when I want to, because I love this series. So if you never played Assassin's Creed 1, then give it a chance. It's not perfect, but neither are you. And if you played Assassin's Creed 1, then good for you, here's a cookie. This game is not perfect, but it's a decent adventure nonetheless, so again, if you never tried it, what are you waiting for? But now, if you excuse me, I think I'm going to go to the library to get some books on how dead villains can wave back and the Japanese are to blame. And while I read this book, let me know what you think about the first Assassin's Creed game in the comments section so I have more things to read. And if you already scrolled down, you can subscribe, like the video if you want to, so you can help me out, because it would really mean a lot to me. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a nice day, do parkour, go outside, it's summer, goddammit, and bye!